Hello everybody, time for another project. So I have a family member who lives in Indianapolis and asked if I could make a platter and coasters to mimic a checkered racing flag. And hello, of course. So May is around the corner. If you're in Indianapolis, May is race month. And so for the Indy 500, of course. And so here we go. So I have this shallow, excuse me, kind of sushi platter style piece. So I'm going to make a racing flag inspired platter that's 10 by 7 that I'll slump into that, and then just 4 by 4 coasters. So that means I'm going to be cutting up a lot of black and a lot of white, and I'm choosing to use dense white for this. And so I am just going to get started cutting 1-inch cubes of white and black. For the platter, I'm going to do a 1-inch strip of black down each side, and then the checkered flag down the middle. So here we go. Lots of cleaning glass and cutting into squares. All right, I think I cut more of this than I'm going to need, at least initially. I hope that's the case. I don't know. But I just, once you're in a roll, you just keep going. And I do believe that once I post these to my website, I've got lots and lots of friends and family in Indianapolis, so I might get some other orders. So I figure I might as well just go ahead and cut it up while I'm going. So the next step will be to assemble all of this. Now, for a checkered flag, you want really tight edges. I'm a little concerned. I'm not sure. I use the Cutter's Mate Strip Cutter Pro, and I feel like this thing does not give me, I don't know what's flexing, if it's my bar that's flexing or this thing, but I don't feel like I get perfectly straight lines. I always get something that looks a little bit more bow-shaped. So putting these together may be a little bit of a challenge, but I want them to be as tight as possible. So I'm going to cap it with clear. And so I'm thinking through what's the best way to get a really crisp look. I think what I'm going to do is put my clear down on the bottom, build my checkered flag up on top, fire it, then flip it, because then the underside is going to have a really nice tight line as opposed to the top. And so I think if I flip it and then refire it, fire polish it again, then I should have a nice clean, clear top with really nice, hopefully tight lines. So I'm going to have to cut my clear, but I'm going to wait and just do some quick measurements and kind of put all this together before I cut my clear tecta, and then I will assemble this basically right onto the shelf. Now I need to clean my glass again because, fingers and a little bit of oil from the cutter and stuff, so I'll clean it all again as I start to lay it up on the shelf. All right, so I was just kind of mocking this up here before I put it in, and again, as precise as I tried to be, these squares are really not very square, and so there are some gaps and such. But what's interesting is that I was going for 10 inches, but because of the way the squares match up at 9.5, I've kind of got a little bit of a problem here. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and snip this off down here and make this platter 9.5 instead of, a full 10, because I could create little, pieces for each end, but that sounds like more trouble than it's worth. So the other thing I'm continuing to contemplate, so this is dense white, which has lead in it, meaning it has to be capped with clear to be considered food safe. And so because there are some little gaps and inconsistencies in the shapes here, I'm thinking that if I do the flip and fire method, like I talked about, putting clear on the bottom, then those inconsistencies might actually be even more pronounced. And so I guess what I kind of like about fusing is kind of the softer look that you get. And because these are not precise, and because I don't care that they're super precise, I think I'm going to change my mind. I think I'm going to lay this out on the kiln with this as the bottom. I'm going to dust it with clear powder. I'm going to put a piece of clear tecta on top and fire it like that. Now these are going to move just a little bit and kind of come together. I think it's going to be okay. So I'm changing my mind the way I'm going to approach this. But so I'm going to go ahead and finish clipping those off. clean this up, start to assemble these and the coasters on the shelf. I'm going to do the coasters with the same type of assembly, and I'll show you the layup when it's all in the kiln ready to fire. All right, I just opened the kiln, and I told you I made 2 of them, and they turned out good. And there's the coasters. So they're a little too warm to pick up, but there's some bubbles, so I decided to skip the clear powder. And so you see a little bit of the bubbles in there. They're a little distracting, but not too bad. Overall, the pattern does not look as rough as I worried that it might. It's not flawless, but I never promised flawless. So anyway, I'm gonna wait for these to cool off, clean them off, and then slump. Okay, so here are the finished pieces. Here are my 4 coasters, and then the platter, nice shallow slump. So as I mentioned, you know, the bottom here, because this was fired directly against the kiln, well, not the shelf, I mean, it was on shelf paper, but you know what I mean. It was fired down against the surface of the kiln. The pattern is really crisp, and on the top, it's still pretty crisp, to be honest. It didn't move very much because it was capped with the clear. That's a pretty nice look. I really like this without the clear. But as I said before, this white is dense white, and this has lead in it, and so it needs to be capped, and therefore I'm selling it this way. But I thought I would use this as an opportunity to test something. So I bought some lead testing swabs from Amazon. These are on my Amazon store. If you're interested, you can go to my link tree to find my Amazon store. The other thing that's on the link tree is Bullseye's listing of glass that has, you know, kind of some food safety, potential food safety concerns. And so it explains to you in there, this is a free sheet, and I've put it right on my link tree. It explains how they do their testing, and then it shows the glass, and right here, dense white contains more than 1% lead. So anyway, I bought these lead testing swabs. I've never used them. I literally just took the packaging off here to open them up. I got them from Amazon. It says shelf life is 2 years. And although I have no idea when they were actually manufactured. But well, let's see. Oh, there is a date at the bottom here. Expires October 9th of 2025. Okay, so, oh, they're sealed. So what I'm going to do, I read the instructions here, and it says to take one of these and to soak it in water. So I have, it just says water, but I've gone the extra step, and I have distilled water here. It says to, let me get this back out, I need my readers. It says wet the tip of the swab with water. Shake off any excess liquid. It's kind of like a little yellowy drip that came off of there. After the swab tip achieves mustard yellow color, promptly use the swab. So these are kind of orange. I think you can probably see that to begin with. Maybe that's what they call mustard yellow. I'm gonna sit here with it for a little bit. There was a bright mustardy yellow there. I don't know if you could see that drip that came off of that. I'm going to read the rest of these instructions. Then it says, rub the surface area for 30 seconds. Observe the swab tip for color change. And then please refer to the color bar on the label. Red, violet, pink indicates presence of lead. So this is clearly orangish. Maybe that's what they call yellow, but it is not red, violet, or pink. And it shows here no lead detected to lead detected. So the black is not listed by Bullseye as a glass that has lead. So I'm just going to rub this. Now it says for 30 seconds. There is nothing from a color standpoint developing on that whatsoever. So what I'm going to do now is rub one of these white squares. I'm just going to use the same swab, but I just rubbed this side. I'm going to just flip it over and use the side that I did not rub. And I am not seeing any difference there either. So these could be crap swabs, in which case I'm saving you from buying them. It does show maybe more the tip here, so I'm going to wet this one again, or a different one. Shake off the excess water. And I'm going to do more of the tip. Oh, look at that yellow coming off of that. Maybe I should do another square. I am not seeing any color changing, which could mean two things. It could mean that I had my white mislabeled and it's not actually dense white, or it could mean that these swabs are just crap. So in order to thoroughly study this, first of all, I'm going to clean this off because this just bothers me, but I am going to grab something that is labeled as dense white, and so that, and therefore I know for sure that my glass is correct. So stand by. Okay, this is taking a little wrangling because this is larger than a half sheet, but here is 313 dense white. You can barely read it, but it says dense white. It's coded 313. So I'm going to put this down, and these still have not changed color. So let me try one more. Let's see what happens. Well, I did not even have to go longer than 5 seconds and it has turned bright red. So that tells me perhaps what I thought was dense white is not actually dense white, or it was marked poorly, because this turned red right away. So that means that the swab is actually fairly decent swab. Lead test swabs, these are in the Amazon store if you want to check them out. That clearly turned red. I'm going to use one of these other ones. Let's find another sheet of glass, just shall we? This is fun. Any of these have lead in them, so let me grab another color. Here we go. Gold purple. Gold purple is on here as an opalescent glass. I'm going to reuse one of the old swabs here, just to see. Look how that instantly started to turn red. Okay, same with that one. So interesting results. Lead test strips or swabs work, and surprise, I guess that didn't have to be capped as food safe after all. So if I had it to do over again, then I may have used that white on the bottom and or excuse me, put the clear on the bottom and the white on top, because I wouldn't have had to worry about food safety because there's not lead in it. There are other minerals that they or chemicals that they test for, cadmium, but there's no white in this list whatsoever. And here's some streakies, and you know, it's not streaky, so I don't know what white this was. Could have been opaque white, could have even been Tecta, although I know it had I think it had a rolled edge, so it definitely wasn't Tecta. Could have just been 013. But either way, turned out to be food safe after all. So hope you learned something. I sure did. If you're interested in these strips, because you want to test for lead, these don't test for, you know, cadmium, but they do test for lead. Yeah, it's interesting stuff. Okay, thank you very much. Hope you learned something from this video. Catch you all later. Bye-bye.